I would like to share my experience with soulmate connections and then twin flame connection, because this is something that I've experienced in my life for the past decade. At this point, I guess maybe actually 12 years. I guess really the first person I would consider like soulmate type of connection was probably back, I don't know, 2011, 2012 or something. Something along those lines. Something along those lines. So I've had various types of soulmate connections within my life who have people who have been this type of connection where I feel this sense of familiarity with them. There's this huge change within my life. It's like if I never met that person, I would not be the same person I am today. And I would basically say three major people in my life have been a soulmate type of connection. And what's interesting, what I have noticed is when one is actively in my life and it ends, which all the three soulmate connections that I've had have all ended. When it ends, a new one comes in that's even more profound, which is wow. Okay, so the first one, it wasn't really anything major. It was just like kind of like it just caused a lot of self-awareness and caused me to have like this spiritual awakening to some degree. It was like one of my initial ones that made me, I would say, be very in tune with my own intuition and start to strengthen it a bit. But, that was very, very short-lived. The next person was someone who I had a strong connection with, and they ended up, we were talking for a little bit, and then it ended up stopping, which caused me to face a lot of my own fears within myself of abandonment and other mental health issues. So again, a very profound person. And then the last person was someone the second one lasted a bit longer than the first one. And the last one lasted for many, many years. And this was someone who also had a major, profound impact on my life. And that's the one that recently ended just earlier this year, which brought in something just absolutely just crazy shortly after. Absolutely amazing. So all of these connections have come into my life. They've served a purpose. They've helped me grow. They've helped me become a better person. And without them, I would not be the same person I am today. But they have all left my life at this point. They are no longer there. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, because it's something that you learn and grow from. That is the whole purpose of these types of soulmate connections. But I would say there was a sense of familiarity with all these people. Okay, that's something that is very, very interesting, where I either saw them and I was like, I recognize you. It's like I can see like you are someone that is very familiar to me in some sort of way. So after the last one had ended, it was only about, I guess, a month and a half later, just something absolutely crazy ended up happening, which I would classify this as twin flame type of connection here. So we've broken down all the signs of having a twin flame connection, and I would like to share my experience with that, because I guess I just never knew what really a twin flame connection was until I actually experienced it, because initially I was just thinking this was just another soulmate type of connection. Because that is what it felt like, because it was very similar how it started. But then all of a sudden, things were just so much crazier than I had ever experienced before. And it's like, I don't know, like, what is happening? What is happening? And then that's when I mentioned this to one of my friends, and then they said, it could be twin flame connection. And then I looked it up and I'm like, oh my gosh. It's like, I guess I just never really experienced it before. It's like I just never really knew what the difference was. But anyway, that was just very, very interesting. So I'd met this person earlier this year, and it's very interesting because I felt as though they had come into my life with various manifestations that I did last year, which is very, very interesting. And they had come into to my life at the right time, as with all these types of connections, because they always help you learn and grow and become a better version of your self. And while I thought that it was a soulmate initially, because it started with, there were some synchronicities with this individual. It's like, that was like one of the first things. It's like, I noticed a very interesting synchronicity that the chances of it are basically non-existent of why this would happen, this type of synchronicity. So it made me really start to understand, like, okay, this person is going to be important in some way in my life, because that's how it's always been before, where there's some sort of synchronicity and something that's very, very rare, and it's like, yeah, this is going to be something that is very, very interesting. So that initially, I just thought it was just soulmate type connection initially, nothing really too, I was not prepared for what was going to happen afterwards, obviously. So just with the initial conversation, starting talking for, several weeks and everything was, fine for the most part. And then all of a sudden, so there was just this massive change with this person that made me start really questioning my own existence and life and everything. It's like, why do I feel certain things the way that I do? And then really start to wonder, it's like, why has this sort of thing happened to me? Just really a lot of questioning of my own life, which that's part of the ego death that was happening. So after that is when I started to focus a lot on my own self, and I started to realize there are some things that I have to work on, because it's like, I know where some of my issues are that have led to negative patterns and cycles within other friendships and connections that I've had in the past. So it was a big eye-opener for me to realize I have to change a variety of things about myself. So that distance from this person, because we were talking for a bit, and there was this distance that made me realize I have to focus a lot on my own self and my own growth. I have to work through the way that I'm feeling here in order to really understand and overcome some of those challenges. And once I was able to realize that, it's like, I would have never have realized that if that person had just continued talking as usual. It was like all of a sudden, this drastic change that led me to this realization. So even with something negative, I can take something positive out of it. Something that's, just a lot of feelings that I had that made me realize a lot of stuff about my own self. And then right after this, there was this massive spiritual awakening that I had that made me just something that I'd never experienced before. So I would say I've had spiritual awakenings before to a degree, but let's just say, with each person or each event, it was just like this, like incremental. Well, this one was like, boom, it was like massive. And I was starting to see a lot of these repeating number patterns a lot, not just on the clock, but in other things. I was having all these synchronicities of things, and I felt as though I was going absolutely crazy. I did, because I'm like, how is all of this happening? It's like, how am I seeing these things happen all the time? How are these things happening within my life? It's like, and I felt as though, am I in a dream and I'm going to wake up at any moment? What is going on here? And I can just kind of, I'll just briefly share, like a few examples here, because it's like, I had, like, for example, like tarot cards, okay? I've had tarot cards for a very, very long time, and I've done tarot readings briefly, wasn't really interested or really connected with it much. Well, all of a sudden, it's like, I was doing some tarot readings for certain people, and it's like those things would end up coming true. It's like this is what it showed, and those things would end up coming true. And then it would show me a variety of other things, or I'll watch videos online of tarot readings that were very specific, very specific. And I'm like, how is that so accurate? It was like the person was talking to me, like the things that it was saying, and it was very accurate with some of the stuff. Well, a lot of the stuff that it was saying, it was very accurate. And I was just like, so, I was just like, there's no explanation for this. I don't understand. Here's something else that was very interesting as well. When it comes to repeating number patterns, synchronicities. So there was a video that I had posted. It was a gaming video, so I didn't post it on this channel. It was on another channel that I have, a gaming video, and it was posted on July 11th. Okay, so 1-1, as literally the timer of this recording just went to 11. Very interesting. There we go, 1-1-1-1. That's a synchronicity. So July 11th, so 1-1 there. The video length was 2 hours, 22 minutes, and 22 seconds. So 2-2-2-2-2, repeating number there. And when you see these repeating number patterns, they're often referred to as angel numbers. And a gaming video was about angels. So I'm like, oh, come on. That's obviously, it's like, that is not a coincidence. That is not a coincidence. So, video about angels. That's 2 hours, 22 minutes, 22 seconds, posted on the 11th. It's like, that is not a coincidence. That is a major synchronicity. So stuff like that are a few examples of synchronicities that I've had, but you know, there's so many other things. That's just skimming the surface of some of the stuff that I experienced. So literally through all of this journey, I just felt as though I was just going crazy for a lot of it, because it's like, there's no way all of this is real. It's like, I'm just going to wake up any moment from a dream. It just doesn't make any sort of sense whatsoever. So some time goes by, you know, I'm talking with this person again, and I really wanted to detach from whatever the outcome is of anything, because it's like, I realize it's not healthy to have any sort of expectations. It's not healthy to, you know, just think something and then be disappointed if things do not happen in any sort of way. So I literally learned to detach from that situation. And that's when I started to experience this drastic shift within my own life, that really, a lot of things that just popped up out of nowhere, even some negative things, and it made me realize, it's like, these are the things that have to be removed from my life at this point. These are the things that have to be removed in order for me to be the best version of myself, to get rid of the things that no longer serve me, to bring in the more positive things that of my highest good and my highest potential here. So that is basically my sort of experience here just this year. I mean, this experience is not quite done yet. Obviously, I think there's still more to this as I continue to focus a lot on my own growth and myself, as opposed to focusing on someone else instead. So it's really hard to say. It's really hard to say when you do meet someone who is like the same soul as you, and there are some similarities, and it causes this massive change. It's like, does the other person experience the same thing you do? And a lot of times I would say, no, they really don't. And if they do, it'll be very different from the way that you experience it. And they probably won't experience it to the same level you do. Because usually, if you're the one experiencing these massive changes, the way that they would experience it will be very different. So that's just my experience up to this point, at least. I don't know what any sort of future growth there is going to be, but I think that there's probably going to be a lot more growth that I'm going to have as well, and perhaps this other person as well. So it's just a very interesting experience that I had that I never thought in a million years would ever even happen, because it's like, oh, I know, I'm just expecting like a soulmate type of connection based on the synchronicity, but this was something far beyond that, that I did my best to explain it in a short amount of time, but honestly, if you heard all the experiences that I had, you'd be like, you may not believe them. That's how like unrealistic some of them are. It's just like wild, absolutely wild. So that's just my experience up to this point in my life. But there's obviously more that's going to unfold in this story. So I don't know. So that's just my experience.